Hi dear creatures, I'm Shira and we are all creatures of nature, and Deborah is here to laugh at my discomfort. Perfect. We're golden. Anyway, welcome to the never-ending quest of uncovering what even is human nature. Right now we're digging into the mountain of American history, looking into the creation of such extreme division, pitting humans against each other. It's a lot, to say the least. So hey, have you ever wondered, or do you know, how the political left and political right came to be? I sure have. We've been divided, sliced and diced, and boxed and labeled by politicians, each other, and ourselves to the point of dehumanization, which is the worst. So I looked into where the terms the political right and the political left originated from, and it brought me outside the US to France. The summer of 1789, French Revolution gained steam after the people of Paris stormed the Bastille. The National Assembly assembled to act as the revolution's government, and the Assembly had a principal goal: writing a new constitution. One of the main issues the Assembly debated was how much power the king should have. Would he have the right to an absolute veto? As the debate continued, those who thought the king should have an absolute veto sat on the right of the president of the Assembly, and those who thought he should not sat on the left of the president of the Assembly. The seating pattern repeated itself in subsequent legislatures and parliaments. It entered popular vernacular quite quickly. Then these terms, the right and the left, were used in the newspapers reporting on the National Assembly. By the mid-19th century, left and right had entered the French vernacular as shorthand for opposing political ideologies. Political parties even began self-identifying as center-left, center-right, extreme left, and extreme right. Did you know this? I am just tickled. It started from seating on the right side of the room and the left side of the room. It's so simple. It just really tickled me. It's so fascinating how language is formed and why. For some years now, I've been making an effort to try to be more specific and give context when speaking about people or a group of people, to use less dividing language that's so ingrained in our vocabulary. But the problem is it takes a little bit more time, whereas these blanket terms, the right, the left, to describe a group of people is to describe humans that are so multifaceted, complex, layered in this one sweeping term. It's quick. These terms are quick and easy to say. But like we talked about in our last video, seamless plug, thank you very much. When we all have our own meanings of words, how do we know what each other is saying when we say something? Moving right along, how did the left and right enter American politics? The terms only took hold in American vernacular in the 20th century, and the terms left-winged and right-wing only began to be widely used in English language books in the 1920s. Those who might have used them most started to shy away from them. There were bona fide communists and socialists in the US in the 1920s, 30s, but they became less likely to call themselves leftists for multiple reasons. First, when President Franklin D. Roosevelt established the New Deal in the 1930s, he ushered in an era of liberalism that made peace with private enterprise. Many people who had been active socialists chose to support the New Deal, sacrificing their more radical ideologies in the name of making progress in the mainstream parties and politics. We're going to talk more about the New Deal era later, as it is major, and yeah, I gotta say, I wish lefties now, or leftists now, would take note of that, for goodness sake. Then in the 1940s and 50s, the Cold War and Red Scare raised the stakes for those on the left. You would lose your job in government if you actively spoke of socialist or communist leanings. Meanwhile, conservatives began linking the growth of the liberal state to what they called leftism, with its communist associations. So people began reclaiming the term around the 1960s, says Jennifer Burns, a professor of 20th century US history at Stanford University. What caused the shift? First, political parties, in the past often driven by region and economic interest, began to solidify around central ideological beliefs. Secondly, people on both the right and the left began to reject the old political consensus. Conservatives worked to advocate a new set of ideas disagreeing with philosophical underpinnings of expanded government. This was a key moment as the left and the right became needed. The left and the right became newly useful in American politics when people needed a way to express their disagreement with others on what might have seemed to be their own side of things. Write this down. Okay, write this down. Suddenly you have a more defined left and right because both sides think the middle, the establishment, the powers that be, are messing things up and not doing a good job. Burns says that may be a reason that left becomes more defined as a spot on the political spectrum because people who disagree with liberalism that aren't conservatives need a word, so they call themselves leftists. When people are scrambling to differ themselves from the conservative movement of their day, yet they feel clear that they aren't calling for an expanded government or expanded intervention in economic and social and political life, they fall back on this term of the right. Fascinating. What it means today. One trend does hold true. Left and right become stronger political alignments when the center falls away. Whoa. Politicians today often describe their opponents as being on the far left or the far right in an effort to delegitimize their policies. And the meanings of left and right can still change once again. Now, I don't know about you, I want to know about you, but I have major qualms with the human race dividing itself, creating enemies with left versus right, while at the same time, politics demands one side versus another when naturally we aren't in agreement forming debates, such as it is with politics. So it's frustrating and poses quite the predicament. Well, friends, what did you think of that mini origin story of the political left and right? Let us know. I can say I really enjoyed learning, and we're all learning as we go here, so please let us know what we can do better, what was done well for what this is in the comments. We would love to hear from you. We would love a like, we would love a subscribe if you fancy it. Until next time, much love to you, creatures of nature, and I hope you love you too.